But head should
we're live.
The first head should be the director of Secret Service. Let me move.
I need to get a freaking mount.
Which is soaring.
I've been fucking you, bro.
Holes, but also
my channel.
Right? Fuck you.
Alright, man.
That's enough fucks to give.
So many people I know saying, you know what, given the state of mind before speaking to him and his refusal to pull out of the race despite clearly being unfit for the office, Trump's act of defiance in standing up and putting his arm up to the air and saying fight, has really resonated with Americans who saw in a moment of unbelievable horror a guy who showed real leadership, real defiance, a real strength of character, real personal courage. That to me, I've said this since it happened, in my estimation has now propelled him back to the White House. I see no way, if he stays alive, God forbid anyone else tries to copycat this, but if Trump is there on election day, he wins, doesn't he?
I think if Joe Biden somehow, some way was able to get the Supreme Court to amend the Constitution and allow president to get a third term, neither a Bill Clinton or a Barack Obama in their prime could beat a Trump today. Neither one of them. Neither a Barack Obama or Bill Clinton. However, that's assuming everything's going to be fair play moving forward. That's assuming it's going to be fair play, which we know it's not going to be fair play.
What can they do, Pat? This is think about this logically, right? Trump is, completely buried.
Shitty quality.
And then the left decided to weaponize the justice system.
I put it to 4G. Most you have to put it in 5G.
And the first piece they used is Stormy Daniels case, which was such a pathetic, low-grade thing to drag a former president through a criminal court over. The conviction got him another $150 million in 10 days in fundraising, and absolutely nobody took it seriously whatsoever. And it had no damage to his reputation or his popularity whatsoever. So that all backfired. They've tried to take him off balance in various states. That hasn't worked. We've had someone try to shoot him now. That hasn't worked either, thank God. But they've literally chucked everything that they can think of. Both the Democrats, the liberals, the lunatics. You put it all together, this has been one of the most conservative sides. I really don't.
See, it's good to say that, and it's coming from a great place of optimism. But then there are people that get paid to think about what the enemy would do to divide and conquer and play their own games. Look, the New England Patriots one year almost went undefeated. They were 16-0, but they lost to the Giants. So you can't sit there and assume that all these things are going to be perfect and we're going to win. Nobody's going to get in our way. That's not how this.
Let's get some work, man.
Works. I think for me, you have to think again, what is at stake for the left? What is at stake for the left if Trump gets in on his second term? Let's kind of talk about this. Elon Musk buys Twitter, turns it into X. We all saw Barry Weiss and Matt Taibbi with Twitter files. What did we learn about the involvement of the New York Post tweet a couple days before the election? What did we learn about Biden's camp communicating with Twitter at the time saying you can't allow this to happen? What did we learn about it? They were involved. So what if Trump gets in and all of a sudden brings in individuals to investigate FBI files? What about if there's CIA files? What about if there's DOJ files? What about if there's Merrick Garland files? What if there's all these files that we see with email that you can't just these emails because we get access to that information? What would we really learn about this? Could this be one of those situations where, if you remember back in the days, where J. Edgar Hoover was frightened after going after the mob because they have certain intel on him as being a cross-dresser, and at the time that was frowned upon. So it's like the mafia doesn't exist, the mafia doesn't exist, the mafia doesn't exist. Then all of a sudden, Rudy Giuliani goes and finds a professor, I think at Rutgers University, that says if you are going to take the mob down, you have to do with the RICO law. And then he comes in, and next thing you know, we see 240-something mob arrested, going in cop cars. What just happened right now with this whole situation? What if that takes place? What if that's what they fear? What if they're worried all this stuff's going to leak? What if they're worried that RFK is going to join Trump's camp and he's going to go after Fauci, NIH, CDC, WHO? What if? These are things you have to consider. So if you thought this protection is at risk, here's a question for you and your viewers. What would you do if you were a leader of the Democratic Party, knowing everything could potentially be exposed by the guy that has the following that wants that to happen? What would you do to prevent him from being in the office? And by the way, do you think you would stop after what just happened this past Saturday? I'm not going to be in a naive community and say, no, that's it, they're going to let him go in there. I think they're going to do whatever they can the next 112 days or whatever days are left to make sure he doesn't get in there.
I mean, I think the really big question with the Democrats is the thing that's been off the table now for the last few days since the assassination attempt is whether Biden should stay as the Democrat nominee. Most Democrats seem to think, the total majority I've seen talking out about this seem to think he absolutely can't. I mean, it's sort of ridiculous to think he could do 4 years in office when he can barely seem to remember what day it was. If they were able to come to their senses, they would have to bring Biden to his senses, which he may not have the faculty to do. But if they did and they were to replace him, as things stand, the most likely replacement is Kamala Harris, who I think could arguably be even less popular than Joe Biden. She's been a pretty useless vice president. There are others who I think would do a better job. Can they get to the place of nomination, or is this really? Are we seeing the Democrats now in complete converse difference to the Republicans? We've never seen more united. I mean, this RNC convention thing has been one of unbelievable unity, and Trump at the center of it. Are the Democrats now completely so fragmented that really whatever they do, they're screwed?
Yeah, listen, I mean, think about you're Newsom and you get a phone call. Hey, Newsom, we want to find a way to make you be the nominee. Are you up for it? After the assassination attempt. I'm not feeling well.
I agree.
I think I need to take a mental day off. I think I need to take a break. I think I got COVID. I think I'm sick. You're going to say whatever you can to not go up against Trump today because you're going to postpone till 2020. Hey, Michelle Obama, you know, we're thinking about you. Yeah, I'm good being a celebrity right now, hanging out with Jay-Z and Oprah. I don't want to be in there. Hey, Whitmer, maybe Whitmer will do it. Hey, Kamala, maybe Kamala will do it. But that is not their problem. Their problem right now isn't whether they're going to be able to bring in a nominee to beat them. There is this many people that can do it today. This many people. By the way, if you watch the scene, if you watch, everybody knows what it is to be a parent. And everybody knows what it is to be a son and a daughter. Most people do. If you're the son and a daughter and you have a loving relationship with your father, somebody you admire, all people need to do is to go see when President Trump walked into the RNC with the badge, with the little Band-Aid on his ear, and you can tell it wasn't the typical Trump. It wasn't the Trump that comes in with the head held high and look who I am. It was a very different Trump. This is not the same human being anymore. Listen, there was a book written many years ago, Pierce, by a guy named David and Goliath, and he talks about what happens to human beings when they have a close call with death. You're no longer the same person anymore. You're just not. You're a complete different human being. And then when he walks up and he's shaking hands with Tucker, then he shakes hands with Byron Donald, then he shakes his son's hand with his left hand, and you see Junior makes eye contact with his dad. Replay that. Every son, every father, every parent will see the pain of that son looking at his hero saying, I almost lost my dad. Everybody relates to that. Now, maybe the people on the left that are like, man, this is ridiculous. This is heartbreaking. I can't even, stomach this, watching this. I feel the pain, but I can't say that publicly because there's no way I'm going to be supportive of this. But the average libertarian, independent, a person in the middle is going to sit there and say, you know what? I'm in with this guy. So this is a very problematic season for the left. And the only way they can do it is not with a candidate. It's with a negative, deceptive strategy to get him out. And I'm not going to put anything else out there, but you cannot sit there and not think on the paranoid side that what they're capable of doing.
It's an extraordinary state of affairs. Riveting, fascinating, shocking, concerning, all of those things. It'll be really interesting to see how this all plays out. Patrick, it's great to have you back on Uncensored. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Now with a view from the RNC in Milwaukee, one of Trump's most passionate supporters, the Republican US Senate candidate from Arizona, Carrie Lake. Carrie, welcome back to Uncensored. Always good to have you. What's the mood like down there?
I think it's great. I mean, it's, thousands of people who are excited about moving America in a different direction and the potential to bring America back and make it safe, secure, great again. And all of us together in one place with one of our favorite people, President Trump, somebody who's fought so hard for our country, who's willing to stay in the arena despite, having a lot of people try to knock him down. He keeps standing up and fighting for us. So it's been lovely. I've really enjoyed a lot of the speeches from the politicians and from the regular people, even from people who never were supporters before President Trump. And now they've realized that they've been lied to. They bought into the media narrative, and now they're waking up and saying, wow, actually President Trump is a good guy. He does want to do good things for our country, for all Americans, and that's what's been really great about some of these speeches.
Where were you when you heard that he'd been shot, and what was your reaction?
I had just come in. I'm running for U.S. Senate in Arizona. I had just come in off the campaign trail from an event and got into the House and was starting. Normally, I try to watch a lot of the rallies. I enjoy them. But I didn't turn it on because I was trying to rush in path to come to Milwaukee for the convention. And a friend of mine called and said, President Trump's been shot. And she didn't know any details, and what probably lasted 3 or 4 minutes for me to find out that he was able to stand up and was okay. It was the longest 3 or 4 minutes. It felt like hours trying to track down information. Is he okay? And my heart just sunk. And I started praying right away. And then to see him emerge from that and stand up, and that the fact that he turned his head, and by the grace of God, truly by the grace of God, that bullet just nipped him instead of going through his head and taking his life. We're so blessed. I'm so thankful. I just thank God that he is still with us because we need him. We got a big fight ahead of us. We got a cleanup job here in America after the disastrous administration of Joe Biden, the dead-end destructive policies of the Democrats that have torn our border wide open, caused an invasion on our southern border, caused deadly drugs to pour into our country. Our streets aren't safe. Obviously, we're teetering toward World War III. We need President Trump, and we need his great agenda to move us forward.
What do you think of the fact that for the last 8 years, people on the left at all levels have repeatedly called Donald Trump Adolf Hitler, compared him to Hitler, evokes memories of the Nazis and so on?
I really put a lot of the blame on the fake news media for perpetuating a smear campaign on President Trump. I wonder why people don't like him. I know him personally, and he's a great man. And just as a mom, I appreciate him because he worked so hard to make our country great in his first term, and I know he wants to do it again. And all I can say is the media's perpetual 8-year, nonstop lies about President Trump, about his family. It's been nothing but a smear campaign because they knew how popular President Trump was and how popular he could become. So they tried to drag him down. It's been a character assassination for 8 years at the hands of the fake news media. So no wonder some Americans have fallen for that.
When you say the fake news media, I think you call it all the media fake news media. Especially given that you used to be a member of the fake news media, right? It probably would have taken a very different view of people blasting all the media as fake news. I mean,
people in the news media who are perpetuating this know who we're talking about. There are some good members of the media, Pierce, absolutely. I walked away from my job because I didn't want to do propaganda. I didn't want to be forced to lie to people. So that's why I walked away. I made the decision to step away from a 7-figure contract.
Traffic.
Great personal sacrifice because
Yeah, but that's why we need to produce a bypass. If you don't, there's going to be Atlanta is full of traffic.
Another thing that's been this sort of key debate really since what happened to President Trump weekend, I just think that the language on both sides has got far too incendiary, far too inflammatory, and has to be dialed down. Donald Trump seems to be recognising that. It already looks to me like a slightly different man to the one before what happened on the weekend.
I think if you escape death, you become a different.
Sure.
You have a bit of a change.
Yeah, I'm sure, and eagerly looking forward to his speech on Thursday night because I hope he hits the right tone, which is to bring people together, given how divisive things have got. I want to play 2 clips to you of you, and I want to see whether, with hindsight, you would regret having used the phraseology you did here. So the first one is from the Republican State Convention in Georgia last year.
I have a message tonight from Merrick Garland and Jack Smith and Joe Biden. And the guys back there in the fake news media, you should listen up as well. This one's for you. If you want to get to President Trump, you're going to have to go through me, and you're going to have to go through 75 million Americans just like me. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, most of us are card-carrying members of the NRA. That's not a threat. That's a public service.
And the second one, this is from April, as you talk about Mr. Putin.
That's why the next 6 months is going to be intense. And we need to strap on our,
What's the population?
let's see,
I don't know.
what do we want to strap on? We're going to strap on our seatbelt. We're going to put on our helmet, or your Carrie Lake ball cap. We are going to put on the armor of God.
I didn't put
And
a
maybe
thumbnail
strap
on this,
on
that's why
and
you
walk
get
out the
no
side of it
views.
just in case.